off by taking you up to the audio tour. Hear the former convicts talking on there, as well as the former guards' voices are recorded there, and they guide you through the prison. Hear about a couple more escapes, so plenty of escapes in store for you today. Basically, as you hear about these escape attempts, and hear these different stories, these plans that these guys came up with, a lot of times visitors ask me, say, Eric, how do these guys come up with all these clever, ingenious, creative plans to escape? And the answer is actually pretty simple. They had a lot of time to think about it. They weren't going anywhere, so you had plenty of time. Look for any potential weakness in security. Keep an eye on the guards, figure out their movements, figure out the security procedures, and try to figure a way off Alcatraz. Now, if you were a federal prisoner, you arrived right here on this dock, you marched up the hill along with the correctional officers into the shower room, you got a shower, search, and a prison issue uniform, and you brought up to yourself, walked up for the first time. And you learned that you would have only 4 rights here at Alcatraz. One right was that prison-issued uniform you were just given, holding with one right. The second right was that cell, the roof over your head, shelter was one of your rights. The third right was medical attention, you got sick, you got to see the doctor. And your fourth right, you got to leave your cell 3 times a day for 20 minutes each to eat your meals in the dining hall. And then the other 23 hours, you're going to spend in that cell by yourself until you earn the privilege of getting out of your cell to go to work, to go to the recreation yard, to go watch a movie. And even if you did have the full privileges the Alcatraz convicts have, you'd still spend a minimum of 16 hours a day in your cell. So if you had 16 to 23 hours a day in that cell each day, what would you do with all that time? Try to make the time go faster, try to make your life better. You can do that. You can do a bunch of different things. Actually, some convicts took up crocheting and knitting, which is a very popular thing for these guys to do. Bridge was a popular game played here at Alcatraz, as well as reading and writing, checkers, chess. A lot of things that you might think about more. Think about spending a nice afternoon with your grandmother. Things that guys at Alcatraz did locked up in the cell house. But anything that helps pass the time. They spend 16 hours in that cell. That's probably about the amount of time that all of us spend out and about each day. Out our daily routine. Those guys had a lot of time on their students have made it Most of the guys that are studying at Alcatraz, a lot of them were here as escape risks. So that's how they did it. Escape. So in total there would be 14 different escape attempts involving 34 different men and 2 men that tried twice. So 36 total escapees. And we'll talk about 3 of those different escapes as we make our way up the road. We'll start with an inmate named John Giles, because he was working right down here on the dock. When he was looking for a way to escape, he arrived here in 1935 because he was deemed an escape risk. He had broke out of a state prison in Oregon, he committed some federal crimes while he was out on the run. When he finally got recaptured, he sent out here to Alcatraz as an escape risk. And so John Giles looks around as he heads his way up into the prison, and he tries to think of a way that he could get off Alcatraz. The wheels start turning right from the beginning, and so when he earns the privilege of getting a job, he says, I'd like to get a job at the dock, if anything's available. If you want to leave Alcatraz, the dock's probably a good place to be. So John Giles is able to finagle his way into a job here on the dock. His job is basically just to sweep up, keep this dock looking nice, and attend to these flowers in this roadbed right here. And so John Giles working down here amongst a lot of different activities. Right? Alcatraz is operating as a federal prison. You got a water barge here. You have a lot of different sheds and storage areas down here, and you have a lot of things coming and going. Food, fuel, supplies, garbage. And so it's a busy operating dock. And right out there in the middle, where you guys gathered for the orientation, there were some long tables set up. And on those tables, military laundry would be brought out. Boat would drop off the laundry here. One of the things the Army stipulated to the Bureau of Prisons, we're going to give you this island, but we're going to bring our laundry back for you to wash. So convicts here washed military laundry. So on those tables, the guards would search through the laundry, make sure no contraband was coming into the prison. And so John Giles is being watched by these guards. The laundry is being searched through. Continues that way for a few years until finally John Giles gets an idea, and he also gets a break. In late 1941, a major event happens in U.S. and world history. Anyone guess what that was? Pearl Harbor happens. U.S. enters World War II, and everything changes, even here at Alcatraz. As John Giles notices, all of a sudden, there are less guards watching him, and he's not being watched as closely because a lot of those guys are out fighting in the war. Alcatraz is short-staffed. And he also notices a lot more military uniforms coming onto that dock. And so during this time, sometimes the guards had to leave that table, attend to their business on the dock. John Giles would sweep his way over there, and he'd steal a hat. A few weeks would go by, perhaps a few months even, he'd get a chance again to sweep his way over there and steal a shirt. And throughout the course of World War II, John Giles assembled an entire sergeant's uniform and kept hidden down here on the dock. Now, on July 31st, 1945, the war is just about over, and lots of soldiers are coming back through the Golden Gate. A lot of men in uniform in San Francisco. Sergeant Giles puts on his uniform, and he sneaks right onto the boat to go join those men. He goes down into the bathroom, he goes into the lower deck there, and he hides there in that bathroom. And you guys ever played hide and seek as a kid? Remember what it was like when you had a good hiding spot, had excitement and anticipation? Maybe that's what John Giles felt like. He had a really good hiding spot right now. And so the boat was pulled into this old finger pier right here. And after a few minutes, John Giles hears those engines rev up, and he feels that boat slide back from this dock. And John Giles is off Alcatraz Island. 2 more minutes go by. Perhaps the anticipation was building. So he decided to step out to the railing, and he looks back and he sees Alcatraz, his home for the past 10 years, is fading away in the distance. He looks and sees San Francisco fading in the distance as well. He turns around, he looks forward, and he sees Angel Island right over there. He's heading to Fort McDowell on Angel Island and completing a successful escape from one island in the bay over to another island in the bay. Got his uniform on though, perhaps thinking he could still pull off this escape. So right back here at the Alcatraz dock, right across on the other side there where you line up to get on the boat today, there's a yellow line painted on the ground. It's kind of faded, but you can still make it out. It's over there today. And on that line, all the prisoners that work down here at the dock need to line up to be counted. They counted up all those prisoners, found they were missing one. They called over to that boat, count up all your soldiers. One extra. Didn't take him too long to figure out where John Giles had gone. When he got over there to Angel Island, saw the associate warden and 2 Alcatraz correctional officers were there to welcome him to his new island home. So brought him back here at Alcatraz, and I think that it's possible that those guards secretly might have been proud of John Giles in one way. He brought a very unique distinction back to Alcatraz. We do believe that to be the shortest enlistment of World War II. Half an hour back and forth. Now, John Giles did make it to San Francisco. In the end, he went there, he stood before a federal court. They tried him with attempted escape from this federal prison. He stood before the court and said, you know what, this is ridiculous. You really can't even try me for attempted escape, because you see, I was in a federal prison. I got onto a military launch, and I went to a military base, and then I came back. So you see, I never left the jurisdiction of the federal government. How many people think they bought that argument? So it's very clever. Why don't you spend 5 more years out there and think about that? So for all that time John Giles couldn't try to escape, all he got out of it was more time. But he actually got one extra thing, probably didn't want, but that was a new nickname. Anyone guess what his nickname was? Sergeant. The other inmates would tease him. Hey, how'd you like the Army, Sarge? So John Giles did not probably appreciate that on top of everything else. And he could, though, at least one comeback he could have was that he did succeed in some ways. He did get away from the guards, he did get away from Alcatraz, and he did make it to another piece of land. And most importantly, he lived to tell about it. Would there be any other inmate who could make that claim? That's what we'll find out when we make our way up for our first stop up the road.